The vast emptiness of space held many secrets, but none as significant as the message that arrived on Earth on a quiet Tuesday morning. Admiral James Walker stood at the window of the Global Defense Command Center, his weathered hands clasped behind his back as he watched the sunrise paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. "Sir, we've received another transmission," said Tom Miller, the head of communications. His voice trembled slightly as he held up the data pad. "It's from the Galactic Council." The Admiral turned slowly, his blue eyes fixed on the screen. The message was clear this time, unlike the garbled transmissions they'd been receiving for the past month. The translation matrix they developed had finally done its job properly. To the species known as humans. "Your presence has been noted by the Galactic Council. The ongoing war between the Star Empire and the Free Worlds Alliance threatens the stability of 3 galaxies. We have observed your rapid technological advancement and warrior spirit. You are hereby invited to join the conflict. Choose your side wisely. You have 30 Earth days to respond. High Council of the Galactic Federation." Admiral Walker's jaw tightened. Humanity had suspected they weren't alone in the universe, but this was beyond anything they had prepared for. 3 galaxies at war, and now Earth was being pulled into the conflict. He pressed the emergency button on his desk, initiating a worldwide conference call with all major military and political leaders. Within minutes, the holographic projections of 50 of Earth's most powerful people filled the room. "Ladies and gentlemen," Walker began, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment, "as of 0600 hours today, Earth has been officially contacted by an organization calling itself the Galactic Council. We are being asked to choose a side in an interstellar war." The room erupted in a chaos of voices and questions. President Anna White of the United States raised her hand, silencing the others. "Admiral, what do we know about these factions?" "Very little, Madam President. The Star Empire appears to be a centralized authority controlling multiple star systems. The Free Worlds Alliance, as the name suggests, seems to be a coalition of independent worlds fighting against imperial control." Defense Minister Robert Brown of the European Union leaned forward in his projection. "And they want us? Earth? We haven't even colonized Mars yet. What could we possibly offer in a war spanning 3 galaxies?" The Admiral pulled up the data from Earth's deep space monitoring stations. "Over the past century, we've developed from primitive aircraft to quantum computers. We've mastered nuclear fusion, developed rudimentary AI, and our military tactics have evolved through countless conflicts. They've been watching us, and something about humanity has caught their attention." The Chinese premier spoke next, her voice calm but concerned. "We must consider this carefully. Joining either side could make us enemies of powers we can barely comprehend. Or," interrupted General Mark Thompson, "this could be humanity's chance to leap forward. Think about it, either side would have to share their technology with us. We're talking about faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, perhaps even immortality." Admiral Walker raised his hand for silence. "We have 30 days to make this decision. I suggest we form a global committee immediately. We need our best military strategists, scientists, and diplomats working together. We also need to prepare the public. This news will change human civilization forever." As the meeting continued into the morning, Walker couldn't help but think about humanity's history of warfare. Every major technological leap had come during times of conflict. Now, they were being offered a chance to fight in a war among the stars. The sun had fully risen now, its rays striking the command center's windows. Somewhere out there, vast armadas were probably destroying entire solar systems, and soon, humanity would have to choose which flag to follow. Walker knew one thing for certain: whether they joined the Empire or the Alliance, the galaxy would never be the same once humans entered the fight. After all, if there was one thing humanity had mastered over its bloody history, it was the art of war. The question now was, Were they ready to take their violence to the stars? 2 weeks had passed since the message arrived, and Earth was a changed planet. The news of alien civilizations had leaked despite government efforts to keep it contained. Streets worldwide were filled with a mixture of celebration and protest, while religious leaders struggled to adapt their teachings to this new reality. Admiral Walker stood in the newly constructed First Contact Center in Geneva, surrounded by massive screens displaying data from space telescopes. Suddenly, every alarm in the facility began to sound. Multiple objects detected entering the solar system, called out Pete Davis from his monitoring station. They're moving faster than anything we've ever tracked. The main screen lit up with 5 signatures, each larger than an aircraft carrier, decelerating as they approached Earth's orbit. Walker's heart raced, but his voice remained steady. Battle stations. Alert all defense forces, but do not engage unless fired upon. The ships came to a stop just beyond the moon's orbit. They were beautiful in a terrifying way, sleek vessels that seemed to shimmer with an inner light, their hulls covered in patterns that appeared to move and shift like living things. A transmission came through on all frequencies, in perfect English. Representatives of Earth, we are the diplomatic envoy of the Free Worlds Alliance. We request permission to land and present our case for your joining our cause. Before Walker could respond, another set of alarms blared. 5 more ships appeared on the opposite side of Earth. These were angular and metallic, gleaming like polished chrome in the sunlight. Earth Command, this is the diplomatic fleet of the Star Empire, a different voice announced. We too wish to land and discuss your potential allegiance. Walker looked at President White, who had arrived hours earlier along with other world leaders. She nodded grimly. We might as well hear them both out. Have them land at separate facilities. The Alliance ships were directed to the Geneva facility, while the Empire's vessels were asked to land at a base in the Australian outback. As the ships descended through Earth's atmosphere, millions watched through their screens and devices, knowing they were witnessing history. The Alliance ship landed first. Its surface rippled like water as a doorway simply appeared in its side. 3 figures emerged, 2 were clearly non-human, with 4 arms each and skin that changed color like an octopus. The third looked surprisingly human, except for the slight glow emanating from their skin. I am Ambassador Ray of the Free Worlds Alliance, the human-like being said. These are my colleagues, Representatives Set and Lower. We bring greetings and an offer of partnership. In Australia, the Empire's ships landed with military precision. Their delegates emerged wearing what appeared to be ceremonial armor, their movements rigid and synchronized. Their leader, a tall figure with metallic skin, introduced himself as Commander Axel. Both delegations shared their stories over the next few hours, transmitted to all major governments. The Alliance spoke of freedom, of independent worlds working together against tyranny. The Empire preached order, stability, and the protection of a strong central authority. But it was the technology they demonstrated that truly captured humanity's attention. Both sides casually manipulated gravity, created energy shields, and showed off devices that could restructure matter at the atomic level. Your species has great potential, Ambassador Ray said to the assembled Earth leaders. We've studied your history. Despite your countless wars, you've always managed to rebuild, to push forward. Your adaptability is remarkable. Meanwhile, in Australia, Commander Axel was making his own pitch. Your military strategies are innovative. Your species understands that sometimes order must be maintained through strength. The Empire would value such allies. As the day drew to a close, Admiral Walker sat in his office, reviewing the recordings of both meetings. Each side had made compelling arguments. Each had demonstrated incredible technology. Each had promised to help humanity reach the stars. But both had also hinted at the terrible consequences of choosing the opposing side. The clock was ticking. 2 weeks remained until Earth had to make its choice, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The question was no longer whether they would join the war, but which side they would fight for, and what price they would ultimately pay for their decision. 1 week after the arrival of the alien delegations, Admiral Walker found himself unable to sleep. Something wasn't adding up. He sat in his private office at 3 a.m., reviewing footage from both the Alliance and Empire presentations for the 100th time. "Computer, play section 47B again," he commanded, focusing on Ambassador Ray's demonstration of their weapons technology. He noticed something, a slight hesitation when asked about defensive capabilities. The Empire had shown the same reluctance when questioned about their shield systems. A soft knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. It was Tom Miller, looking exhausted but alert. "Sir, you need to see this." Our deep space telescopes picked up something disturbing. The main screen lit up with images from the outer solar system. Massive fleets, hundreds of ships from both the Alliance and the Empire, were gathering just beyond Neptune's orbit, hidden from Earth's conventional detection systems. "They're positioning themselves," Walker muttered. "Both sides are preparing for battle, using Earth as the board for their cosmic chess game." President White was immediately notified, and within an hour, an emergency meeting was convened. The room was tense as military leaders and scientists gathered to review the evidence. "Look at these energy readings," Dr. Jim Porter, Earth's leading physicist, pointed to his data. "Both fleets are carrying enough firepower to reduce our planet to ash. This isn't just about recruiting us, they're preparing for something bigger." General Thompson spoke up, his face grim. "We've decoded some of their transmissions. Both sides are lying to us. The Alliance talks about freedom, but their member worlds are practically stripped of resources. The Empire preaches order, but they use their worlds as factory planets, working populations to death." "There's more," added Lisa Reed, head of intelligence. "We've detected quantum communications between some Alliance and Empire ships. They're talking to each other when they think we can't detect it." Walker stood up, his mind racing. "Don't you see? This war, it's not what they're telling us. They're not fighting for freedom or order. They're fighting over resources, over power, and they see Earth as both a strategic location and a source of soldiers." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't being invited to join a noble cause, they were being recruited as cannon fodder in a war that had nothing to do with the principles either side claimed to uphold. "But we still have to choose," President White said quietly. "If we refuse, they might destroy us anyway. At least by picking a side, we get access to their technology." Walker walked to the window, watching the distant gleam of the alien ships in orbit. Maybe there's a third option. We've been so focused on choosing between them that we haven't considered another possibility." He turned back to the room, his eyes bright with determination. "What if we reveal what we know? What if we show both sides that we've discovered their deception? They clearly want Earth badly enough that they're both willing to lie to us. That gives us leverage. Are you suggesting we blackmail two interstellar powers?" General Thompson asked, incredulous. "No," Walker smiled. "I'm suggesting we show them that humanity isn't as primitive as they think. We've discovered their lies, decoded their communications, and detected their hidden fleets. We've done in days what they thought would take us years." Dr. Porter nodded slowly. "And if we can do that with our primitive technology, then imagine what we could do with advanced technology," Walker finished. "They don't want us as allies, they want us as weapons. So let's show them exactly what kind of weapon humanity can be." The plan was risky, perhaps suicidal. But as Walker looked around the room, he saw the same fire in everyone's eyes. Humanity had spent its history fighting itself, but now they faced a common threat, or rather, two threats that thought they could manipulate Earth into their game. In 5 days, they would have to give their answer to both the Alliance and the Empire. But it wouldn't be the answer either side expected. The galaxy wanted to see humanity's warrior spirit? They were about to get exactly what they asked for. 3 days before the deadline, Earth made its first move. Admiral Walker stood before both alien delegations in the United Nations Assembly Hall, his posture relaxed but his eyes sharp as steel. "We've prepared a demonstration," he announced to the gathered ambassadors. With a nod to Tom Miller, the main screen activated, showing real-time footage of the massive fleets hiding behind Neptune. Ambassador Ray's skin flickered with patches of dark color. What Walker had learned was their species' equivalent of turning pale. Commander Axel's metallic features remained unchanged, but the slight whirring sound from his systems increased noticeably. "Fascinating deployment strategy," Walker continued casually. "Though I must admit, we're curious about these quantum communications between your fleets. Would either of you care to explain why supposed enemies are sharing military intelligence?" The room erupted into chaos. The Empire's representatives began speaking in harsh, clicking sounds to each other, while the Alliance delegates' skin rippled with rapid color changes. Both sides switched to their native languages, forgetting or not caring that Earth had already decoded them. "Your primitive systems couldn't possibly," Commander Axel began. Walker cut him off by playing a decoded conversation between Alliance and Empire commanders, discussing how to divide Earth's resources and population once they'd secured control. "Primitive?" Walker smiled. "We've managed to crack your codes, detect your stealth systems, and uncover your true intentions in less than 3 weeks. Imagine what we could do with a few years of access to your technology." President White stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "We've prepared data packets for both your governments. They contain proof of your collusion, your lies, and your true plans for Earth. If either side attempts any aggressive action against our planet, this information will be broadcast to every world in both your territories." "You don't understand the forces you're dealing with," Ambassador Ray said, his glowing skin now pulsing with angry red patterns. "Your planet would be crushed before." "Before what?" Dr. Porter interrupted, stepping up beside Walker. "Before we could reveal how both your mighty civilizations have been lying to their own people. Before we could show how you've been working together to subjugate and exploit entire species." General Thompson activated another screen, showing Earth's orbital defense grid. "We've been busy these past weeks. Your technology may be advanced, but we've had decades to prepare for alien threats. Every satellite in orbit has been modified with what we learned from studying your ships. They're crude by your standards, but there are thousands of them." "And that's just the beginning," Lisa Reed added, displaying data from Earth's military installations. "We've adapted our nuclear arsenals with the radiation signatures we detected from your ship's shields. They might not destroy your fleets, but they'll certainly disrupt your fancy cloaking systems. How would your people react to seeing your hidden armadas exposed?" Walker moved closer to the alien delegates, his voice low but carrying to every corner of the silent room. "So here's humanity's response to your invitation: no. We won't be joining either side of your fake war. Instead, we're offering you a new deal." He nodded to President White, who activated a holographic display showing a new treaty document. "We're willing to keep your secret and even consider limited technological exchange. In return, both your civilizations will recognize Earth as a neutral, independent power. You will withdraw your fleets from our solar system, and any future interactions will be conducted through proper diplomatic channels." "And if we refuse?" Commander Axel's metallic voice had a dangerous edge. Walker's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Then we'll see how well your empires handle total transparency. Your choice." The alien delegates looked at each other, then at their data screens showing Earth's preparations. They had come expecting to find a primitive species ready for harvest. Instead, they had found themselves caught in humanity's trap. As the delegates requested emergency communications with their governments, Walker shared a knowing look with his team. The galaxy had wanted to see humanity's warrior spirit. Now they were learning that humans didn't just know how to fight, they knew how to win. 24 hours after Earth's ultimatum, the tension in the Global Defense Command Center could be cut with a knife. Admiral Walker hadn't slept, his eyes fixed on the massive screens showing both alien fleets still positioned beyond Neptune. Movement detected. Pete Davis called out suddenly. Both fleets they're advancing toward Earth. Walker's jaw tightened. They had prepared for this possibility, but hoping for peace was different from preparing for war. Launch the satellite network. Begin transmission countdown. But before he could give the order to activate Earth's defenses, Tom Miller shouted from his station. "Sir! We're receiving simultaneous transmissions from both fleets." The screens flickered to life, showing the supreme commanders of both the Alliance and Empire forces. The Alliance commander's skin swirled with complex patterns, while the Empire commander's metallic face reflected the light like a mirror. "People of Earth," they spoke in unison, then stopped, glaring at each other through their respective screens. The Alliance commander continued first, "Your species has proven more resourceful than anticipated." The Empire commander's metallic features shifted slightly. "We have received orders from our highest authorities. Your evidence is compelling. Perhaps we have underestimated humanity's potential." Walker kept his face neutral, but inside his heart was racing. "And your decision?" Before either could respond, Lisa Reed burst into the command center. "Sir! Our deep space telescopes are picking up massive energy signatures. Hundreds of ships are dropping out of faster-than-light travel. The main screen filled with new contacts, vessels of designs they hadn't seen before, appearing in a vast circle around the solar system." Walker felt his blood run cold. Had they miscalculated? Were these reinforcements coming to crush Earth's resistance? "Admiral Walker," a new voice came through, speaking perfect English. "I am High Counselor Max of the Galactic Council. We have been watching these proceedings with great interest." The room fell silent. The original message that had started all this had come from the Galactic Council, but they hadn't expected them to appear in person. The High Counselor continued, "When we sent our invitation, it was more than a simple recruitment attempt. It was a test. For centuries, we have watched species join this war, choosing sides based on promises of power and technology. None have done what humanity has done." President White, who had just entered the room, stepped forward. "And what exactly have we done? You saw through the deception. You found the truth. Instead of choosing between two corrupt powers, you forged your own path. You showed wisdom, courage, and most importantly, unity in the face of a superior force." The Alliance and Empire commanders looked uncomfortable as the High Counselor spoke. "The war between the Alliance and Empire has raged for too long, destroying countless worlds and species. We needed a race that could see past the lies, one that could potentially help bring balance to our galaxies." Walker's mind raced as he began to understand. This whole thing, it was an evaluation? Indeed, the High Counselor's image smiled. "And humanity has passed in a way no other species has. You didn't just avoid being drawn into the conflict, you exposed the corruption at its heart. Your actions have forced both the Alliance and Empire to confront their own deceptions." The Council ships moved into a defensive formation around Earth, their presence a clear message to both the Alliance and Empire fleets. "We are offering Earth a seat on the Galactic Council, not as pawns in this war, but as peacekeepers. Your species has demonstrated the qualities we have been searching for." The Alliance and Empire commanders looked stunned. No new species had been offered a council seat in over 10,000 years. Their fleets began to retreat, realizing that the balance of power had just shifted dramatically. Walker exchanged looks with President White and his team. They had prepared for war, but instead had been offered something far more valuable, the chance to help bring peace to the stars. The next 24 hours transformed the Global Defense Command Center into a hub of interstellar diplomacy. Admiral Walker stood beside President White as they toured the Galactic Council's flagship, a massive vessel that made Earth's largest ships look like toys in comparison. "Your technology is extraordinary," Dr. Porter marveled, studying the ship's quantum core. "But what I don't understand is why you need us. Surely with this level of advancement, you could have stopped the war yourselves." High Counselor Max, who appeared remarkably human except for his subtle silver-tinted skin, smiled sadly. "Power isn't everything, Doctor. Our technology is advanced, yes, but our civilization has grown stagnant. We've lost something that humanity still possesses." "And what's that?" General Thompson asked, his military mind still analyzing everything for potential threats. "The ability to innovate under pressure," Max replied. "To think differently. To question everything. Our species have grown too set in their ways, too convinced of their own superiority. We needed a fresh perspective." Lisa Reed, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. "You orchestrated all of this, the war, the recruitment, everything, just to find a species that would think outside the box." "Not exactly," Max led them to a vast observation deck overlooking Earth. "The war is real enough. The Alliance and Empire's corruption is real. But we've been searching the galaxies for a species with the right combination of traits to help us bring change." He gestured to a holographic display showing hundreds of worlds. "We've tested many species. Some chose the Empire, seduced by promises of order and power. Others chose the Alliance, drawn to ideas of freedom and independence. But none saw through the deception like you did. More importantly," he continued, "none responded the way humanity did. You didn't just discover the truth, you used it strategically. You turned your apparent weakness into strength. You united your planet in the face of a common threat, something many advanced civilizations have failed to do." Tom Miller, who had been analyzing the Council's communications, looked up from his data pad. "The quantum communications we detected between the Alliance and Empire, you made sure we would find those, didn't you?" Max nodded. "We gave you breadcrumbs, yes. But finding them, understanding them, and using them the way you did, that was all humanity. Most species would have either missed the clues entirely or rushed to expose them without considering the strategic implications." Walker thought about the past few weeks, seeing them in a new light. The primitive technology comments, the condescending attitudes, that was part of the test too, wasn't it? To see how we'd handle being underestimated? "Indeed," Max smiled. "And instead of reacting with anger or fear, you used it to your advantage. You let them think you were primitive while secretly studying their technology. You demonstrated both tactical wisdom and emotional control, rare traits in the galaxy." President White, who had been quietly absorbing everything, finally spoke. "So what happens now? You've offered us a seat on the Council, but what does that really mean?" Max's expression grew serious. "It means humanity will help us reshape the galaxy. The Alliance and Empire have ruled through fear and manipulation for too long. We need your unique perspective, your adaptability, your ability to find solutions where others see only problems." "And if we refuse?" Walker asked, though he already knew the answer. "Then we leave, and Earth continues on its path alone," Max replied simply. "But consider this, your world now knows about the wider galaxy. Your people have seen what's possible. Can you really go back to pretending you're alone in the universe?" The Earth leaders shared knowing looks. They had all seen how their planet had changed in just a few weeks. The old divisions between nations had started to fade as humanity faced its first true extraterrestrial challenge. They had passed the test, but the real challenge was just beginning. As they looked out at their blue planet hanging in space, they knew that whatever they decided would change not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. The question was, were they ready for that responsibility? The vote was unanimous. After 3 days of global discussions, Earth's nations had reached a consensus. Admiral Walker stood before the assembled representatives of Earth, the Alliance, the Empire, and the Galactic Council in the United Nations chamber, ready to deliver humanity's decision. On behalf of Earth, we accept the Council's offer, he announced, his voice steady. But we have conditions. High Counselor Max's silver-tinted features showed a mix of amusement and curiosity. Even now, you negotiate. Please, continue. First, Walker began, Earth maintains its independence. We'll join the Council, but our planet remains under our own governance. Second, we want unrestricted access to education about galactic technology and history. No more games, no more tests. President White stepped forward to stand beside him. Third, we want to establish an Earth embassy on every major world in all 3 galaxies, including Alliance and Empire territories. If we're to help bring peace, we need to understand all perspectives. The Alliance and Empire representatives shifted uncomfortably, but remained silent under the Council's watchful gaze. Finally, Dr. Porter added, we want to establish a galactic university on Earth. A place where species from all worlds can come to learn from each other. No more secrets, no more hidden agendas. High Counselor Max looked at his fellow council members, their silent communication evident in their subtle gestures. After a moment, he turned back to the Earth delegation. Your terms are acceptable, and frankly, better than we hoped. You continue to surprise us. Tom Miller, monitoring the global response, reported that celebrations had already begun breaking out worldwide. The news feeds showed people of all nations rejoicing together, united in this historic moment. There will be challenges ahead, General Thompson warned, ever the pragmatist. The Alliance and Empire won't change overnight. Some will resist the new order. Let them, Lisa Reed replied, displaying data from her latest analysis. We've already begun receiving messages from worlds in both territories. They've seen how Earth stood up to their leaders. We've given them hope for change. Walker turned to the Alliance and Empire delegations. Your civilizations have achieved incredible things. Your technology, your achievements, they're remarkable. But you've lost your way. Work with us, learn with us, and together we can build something better. Commander Axel's metallic features shifted in what they had learned was a sign of acceptance. Perhaps it is time for change. Ambassador Ray's skin rippled with patterns they now recognized as thoughtful consideration. Our people have grown tired of endless war. If Earth can show us another way. High Counselor Max raised his hand, commanding attention. It's decided then. Let the records show that on this day, Earth becomes the newest member of the Galactic Council, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. As if on cue, the massive Council ships in orbit adjusted their positions, creating a spectacular light show visible from Earth's surface. The display of power was also a message, Earth now stood under the Council's protection. Walker looked out at the assembled representatives of multiple galaxies and felt the weight of the moment. Humanity had not only survived its first major interstellar crisis but had turned it into an opportunity for positive change throughout the galaxy. There's an old Earth saying, President White addressed the chamber. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Today, we take that step together. As the chamber erupted in applause, Walker caught High Counselor Max's eye. The council member gave him a subtle nod of approval. They both knew that the real work was just beginning, but humanity had proved it was ready for the challenge. The galaxy had trembled when humanity joined the war, not because they had chosen a side, but because they had chosen to change the game entirely. Now, the stars themselves waited to see what this young species would do next. After all, this wasn't the end of humanity's story. It was just the beginning.